Hey, how's it going, you guys? So we're in the garage today. Unfortunately, we got to work on the Bx23s as it has been leaking hydraulic fluid, as that's what I have it filled with. Otherwise, you'd have gear oil in here. It's whatever you prefer per Kubota's manual. But it's leaking out of this knuckle right here. The seal in there must be bad. So I'm going to have to rip this thing apart and repair that. While I'm at it, I'm also going to replace this tie rod boot cover. I ordered that as well. And those were supposed to be upgraded ones from, I believe it's Kubota Parts, but I just picked up some on Amazon, so I can leave those in the description if you're interested. But as long as I got to pop that tie rod off anyways, I might as well fix it. Over here we got the replacement seal. That's the part number there. And this is actually a two-piece seal, so it does come apart. That way you can drive them on separately. From what I understand, that's the best way to do it. And then I have the gear case part number there, and that's just an O-ring for that. If mine's in good condition, I'm not going to worry about replacing it, but I want to have it on hand in case anything looks bad on it. But without further ado, I'm going to get this thing jacked up, and we'll start tearing into it. Alright, so that's a 19 millimeter. Next up is I'm going to start draining this, and then we can work on the tie rod in the meantime. Super clean. These are just 14s as well. I don't know if it's worth noting or not, but the reason why I did just the one jack stand on this side as opposed to laying this flat is it'll keep more fluid in the axle, so then I don't have to replace as much, because this fluid doesn't have very many hours on it, so I'd like to just save as much as possible. Alright, then that's a 17 here. And then your tie rod's loose. I'm going to go ahead and put this drain plug back in, as I don't want to get any grime in there when I spray some more brake cleaner and try and clean off some of this crap. Alright, now that that's done, now we can remove the gear case bolts. These two are 14 millimeter. pops off like so. There's that O-ring that we were talking about earlier. We'll inspect it just to make sure it's in good shape. Alright, so now looking into the hub here. This right here that I'm pointing to, that's a clip, C-clip. So what you gotta do is get that thing spun around so then you can access it with your snap ring pliers. I'm just gonna use this hook. I can't do this with one hand, but yeah, I'm gonna hook it, get it onto the front side here where I can get the snap ring pliers on it. Alright, now that you got that loose, this whole thing should just drop when you give it a couple taps. Look, I actually already see that it fell in the back. And there you go. And don't dump it all out all over yourself like I just did. But so basically, this is that half of the seal that you press in. Here's the one that goes on the spindle. As you can see, this kind of resembles a spindle here. And then the shaft goes up in there to mate with your four-wheel drive. Alright, so to get this seal off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat it up just with the MAP gas. Just warm it up some, and then I got a couple putty knives I'll pry in there, and hopefully we'll get that thing to pop off. There's that. The smoking's from the rubber on here. There's a rubber seal. Alright, so I want to take my time here now and get all this grit cleaned up, and being careful about it as well, so then you're not dropping anything down in there, because that's where all your bearings are. So you just really want to avoid it, and that will prevent you from having to clean out all that cavity as well. Alright, well, once you got it as clean as possible, now it's time to pull out that seal. There's the old one. Now you just want to make sure there's not marred up at all in here. Again, I'd suggest cleaning this out good. Just to make sure there's no grit down in there before you put in the new seal. Alright, so to install the new seal here, what I did is I grabbed the old upper seal, that metal part that we just took off the spindle, and we're going to drop that in here. That way we don't damage the new one at all. Then what I'll do is I'll grab some a little bit of hydro oil, and we'll lubricate all these surfaces. And then I'm just using what fits for me. I got a 1 7/8 inch huge socket, but I mean anything that's gonna disperse the weight and allow you to evenly hammer it into place is gonna work for you. So it's just looking around your shop and seeing what you got laying around. Alright, so once you got that flush, then you can pop out the old one. And just double check and make sure everything's seated well. Just putting a little bit of oil on there for lubrication as the seal slides on. And then what I've got here is just a 2-inch coupling for PVC. I'm going to use that to drive this on there. Now before I get any further, I'm going to do this tie rod real quick, because as soon as I put that knuckle back up on there, I'm going to run out of room here. So just to make it easier on myself, since my loader is on, I'm going to do that quick. Alright, so now for probably the hardest part of this whole job, I'm thinking, and that's going to be getting this back on there and getting this snap ring back up there. So we'll see how this goes. So you got to get those gears aligned, and that allows you to snap it all the way up into place like that. Just get a couple pieces of wood underneath, or a jack if you got it, to hold this in place now while you try and get that snap ring on. There, it snapped. So I know it's hard to see in the video, I'm sure, but the way I did that is you're not really trying to just get it on with your snap ring pliers. That's just to open it up enough to get the edge over the bevel here. And then I just worked it all the way around with the screwdriver, getting it over this little beveled edge up onto the frame. And then I was able just to push it up at finally with the screwdriver. So it might help you out. If you notice, when I took it off, I kind of did the same thing. I got it out wide enough in order to get it out of the groove, and then I just pried down on it, and that allowed it to snap down all the way around. So hopefully that little bit helped there. Next, I'll just put on this tie rod end. Get that taken care of. Next up, just clean this up a little bit, because this is the mating surface for your final drive that you're going to install next. Alright, so the final drive here, I'm just going to inspect this seal here, this O-ring. Feel it for any nicks. I don't feel none. Just going to clean up the surface on this side, and then we'll put this back together. Alright, so when you're putting this on, you'll see there's a notch in the bottom. So that goes down. And then as you install, you're just going to want to wiggle it, and that locks everything up. Then you'll just install your bolts. Alright, well that wraps up this portion. I'm going to get the tire on here, and then we'll start filling up the axle with fluid again. If you're wondering why I'm struggling with this tire, it's because it's solid filled. Now this is why you take off your loader before you do this. But we'll get her filled up. Now if you are interested in changing out your front axle fluid, I do have a video on that on my channel as well. So I encourage you to check that out. I don't know if I said it before, but some people say, you know, just switch this to a gear case oil. I believe like 80 weight, I think they say. And then this would be less likely to be an issue. Some I even heard about simply switched out their oil and didn't even bother replacing their seal. Now I don't know if that worked out for them or not. I never heard an update on it. But just something to keep in mind. So now that it's on the dipstick, I'm going to jack up the front end and then spin that tire. Just to help that oil settle in the front end here. That's something to be mindful of, because as you're working your tractor in the future now, you're going to want to come back and just double check that your level hasn't gone down at all as it works the air pockets out of that gear case. Alright, and then I'm just going to install my fill plug. for my gear case box. Alright you guys, well I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Comment if you guys got any questions for me, and be sure to hit the subscribe button. On my page I've also got the videos of doing the front axle fluid as well as those tie rod end boots if you're interested in that. Thanks for watching.